that is the case. Well, normally you know me as N2OPS, but I'm also known as WQOS 202, and that is my GMRS or General Mobile Radio Service call sign. Well, perhaps some of you remember tin cans. And I believe the one pasta ad right now has that on, or a soup ad. And I have to smile because they leave one little technicality out. You got to pull the string taut for that to work. Right. And then, of course, remember Dick Tracy? And who knows the two characters in the middle down on the bottom? Yes. Maxwell Smart. Right. And the shoe radio. In fact, I saw a picture today, and I wish I would have had it for this presentation. It was the senior's cell phone, flipped up, but instead of the touchpad, a rotary dial. Well, why not just use cell phones? We use two-way radios in our youth work. Our youth are volatile, they have problems, and at times they do go off. But people say, well, why don't you just use cell phones? And I wince, but I try to go on and explain why we use radios. Well, there's other reasons not to just use cell phones. You can talk without a monthly or per minute fee. Just push the button and talk. My Mount Morris School District, they don't have radios in the buses. They have cell phones. Go figure. Multiple units can communicate and be heard at once rather than just one at a time, and it's illegal to use a cell phone while driving. Well, there's consumer grade and commercial grade radios. I don't know about you folks, but I don't think those things look very professional. They are kind of laughable. Well, when we talked not too long ago, we talked about our neighbors. And if I recall, one gentleman here wanted to get his neighbors with a pair of binoculars. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you, if you were my neighbor and you were looking at me with binoculars, I'd come up with some things to give you your money's worth. Well, that's a story in itself. Well, anyway, the HF, we have the CBs, and then on the HF, we have 49 megahertz, if you even are familiar with that radio service. We'll get to that in a little bit. And that's right next door to 6 meters, and we have MURS, 151 or 154 megahertz, which isn't too far away from 2 meters. And then going up the spectrum to UHF, we have FRS or Family Radio Service, which is by far the most popular. A neighbor to 70 centimeters and an overlap GMRS, General Mobile Radio Service, and the only one of the personal radio services that requires a license, but few do it. And then 900 megahertz, which has a really neat radio service, Spread Spectrum. A great radio service for buildings, and it's the only one that is secure. All right, here's some of the terms we're going to be looking at tonight. The dots. A lot of places that sell these radios, they don't bother to know or discuss it by frequency. They have a dot on the box or a dot on the radio. That's how you know they talk to each other. Like I said earlier, Family Radio Service is limited to a half a watt. GMRS is General Mobile Radio Service, and you get a license, supposedly, and it's limited to your family, not for business use. Itinerant frequencies are business, but almost always nobody's bothered to get a license. You are guaranteed no protection by the FCC because they're for businesses that travel about. For example, the Shrine Circus, a construction company, etc. MURS is a really neat service because it means multiple use radio service. It can be done by both families, individuals, and it can be business. 5 frequencies, 2 unbelievably cluttered, 3 almost no one there. And they're VHF. Splinter frequencies are in between GMRS frequencies, but they are FRS only, or they are low power GMRS. Then there's star frequencies, same thing as the dots, only less users. Same thing on the box or the radio, just to identify what will talk to each other. All right, here we go. Family uses for FRS, GMRS, and MURS. Parents, stay in touch with their kids. Nobody bothered to say have to stay in touch with me because there was no danger. Times have changed. Communicating at the mall, when we go to a theme park, or if we're doing a work project, driving in caravan, hiking. Here are the frequencies that are common in GMRS and family radio service. Notice they carry out 4 decimal places. And 7 of them, they're in the 462 range. Then for the family radio service, 5 megahertz higher. Again, 4 decimal places. They're the splinter frequencies. The second set of 7, you won't ideally have the GMRS people, you'll just have the family radio service. All right, here are some characteristics. 0.5 watt. Fixed antenna. You cannot take the antenna off of the radio. Your range can be as little as 100 yards in office buildings, no license required. Cannot be used for business communications, but they almost always are. Like whenever I go to Strawn to my eye doctor, all the people in the department are using family radios. And I guarantee you they have no idea of it. It's not legal. So you can't remove the antenna. Can't hook up an external antenna. Well, Radio Shack had a unique way to get around that. They have the mic, and the radio is in the antenna. So you slap the radio on the roof. Got great range and totally legal. There's always a unique way to get around these deals. Well, now we get into the general mobile radio service at GMRS. So here are the frequencies, the basic, the splinter, the basic, the splinter. Now, you notice what's happening here? White dot. So what's happening is they are being passed off as regular business radio, sadly. See again here, black dot, orange dot. It's good to notice that there are these frequencies, and they tend to be a little more cluttered. GMRS will allow you to be up to 50 watts. You buy a license. Good for 5 years. Ideally, no business communications. Now, GMRS frequencies were once upon a time used for business. U of R, for example, uses one. They're grandfathered. This frequency, 462.675, with the PL of 141.3, is supposed to be a national calling channel. I've never known it to actually be used for that, but that's supposedly what it is. Here's my license. And all the parameters. Once upon a time, GMRS licensees would have to pick 2 channels. They changed that. Now it's whatever ones you want to use, with 2 that are not supposed to be used close to Canada. Line A. I'm sure you have heard of Line A. We who write business licenses know all too well that they always have to go to Ottawa, and they sit in Ottawa. And we often joke about it's the letter A when it goes up. It spends so much time in Canada, it becomes line EH, line A. Yeah. Well, here are some uses for GMRS radio: CERT, REACT, and neighborhood watch groups. And yes, you can have repeaters on GMRS. Well, here's a master list of those dot and letter and star frequencies. And they do have PL and DPL tones like we do in ham. Advertising in these radio services tend to give the false impression that you have privacy. You don't have to listen, but it does not stop others from hearing you. Oh, there's our line A again. And trust me, if any of you have ever written a business license, you know the headache. It can go back and forth and back and forth. And I have no idea what just happened. Okay, I did not want to go on the internet.
There's no internet anyway.
Okay, yes. Okay, I believe I have someone coming to my rescue. I will relinquish my seat. Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other audience, I would have been dead tonight. Any other audience, I would have been dead. This is so awesome.
Just click the red X on the top there. You seem to be hitting the internet.
The red X right there, Jim. Red X. Click that. There you go.
There you go.
I had to hit the X. If I would have hit the X, I would have been charged with assault.
Don't click on the picture.
Okay. GMRS restrictions. These two frequencies. You cannot talk north of line A. Now we're in the next radio service, MURS, multiple use radio service. These first three, as far as I've been listening, nothing. Almost nothing on these frequencies. And the last two, blue dot and green dot, are a total solid party line. Everything you can imagine. McDonald's drive-thrus, everything. Walmart, yes, 154.57. And are you ready for this, folks? No PL. Open squelch. In some places I have read that Walmart has actually said, you're on our frequency. Yeah, right. Oh, one time in a trade publication, and it wasn't written to be funny. Some young men had just gotten their ham license, high school boys, and with modded ham radios, they tied two different fast food drive-thrus together. And as unprofessional as this may sound, I'd have paid to see that. I really would have. Okay, continuing on. Now we talked earlier about the itinerant frequencies. Here are the four main ones, and the second and third are red dot and purple dot. The red dot, if any of you ever use it, turn the PL off just for a while and listen. Absolutely amazing. We're licensed at On the Road Youth Ministry for the red dot, and then on the UHF side, we're licensed on the UHF one, 464.55. Looking at MURS a little bit more here, you're limited to 1 watt on the 151s and 2 watts on the 154, 57, and 600. No license required, and it can be business and personal. The only place you can mix them. Okay. License or correction range. The ads, this is on Walmart's website. 40 miles. Wouldn't that be great if our 3, 4, 5 watt radios would go 40 miles? Yeah, right. No way. Yeah, come on, guys. Look here. Even with the best power on a handheld, the curvature of the Earth will take you, what, 6 miles? All right, typical radio range. This chart is beautifully done. Family radios are half watt. GMRS handhelds are usually 1 watt. Some or 2 watts. MURS are 2 watts at VHF. Okay, remember, UHF, great in buildings, great around buildings. VHF, ICAR 2 meters, great more outside. But they do not go 40 miles. They do not go 36 miles. Yeah. I mean, if you're like up in an airplane or you're talking between hills, you might get that kind of range. Right. But you're not, this chart is so beautifully done. Now, in Europe, they don't have family radio service. They have this. Personal mobile radio. Notice where the frequencies are. Go figure. Half a watt. And in China, this is the frequencies they have. GMRS repeaters do not require coordination. They can give you up to 50-mile range. Little known danger down the road. This docket by the FCC would put an end to licensing. And some people have thought, oh boy, I don't have to pay $85 anymore. But it would limit it to 2 watts, and it would put the same parameters as Canada already has. Goodbye mobiles, goodbye repeaters, goodbye bases. Don't know where it is. It's been out there for proposal for a long, long time. You're really interested in GMRS besides handhelds? Go to this man's website, mygmrs.com. Every night at midnight, at the end of the night on Sunday, he faithfully will list up to a dozen new GMRS repeaters that have popped up around the U.S. This man does an amazing job of keeping up. And he does the updates, a lot of useful information. You know how a repeater works. There's the diagram. You want a tried and true repeater, get an old Kenwood TKR 820. That's what we have. We have one on top of the building in Mount Morris, and we have one at a home in Groveland next to the town hall. And if all goes well, we have a very sweet deal coming up to go on Scipio Road in Nunday this summer. And from there, we are going to have a dream coverage. Now, you get one of these, or you want to buy one, Google the TKR guy. I've dealt with this man, and this is all he does is the TKR 720 and 820 repeaters. Well, you can't do a TKR 720 because there's no wideband that you can do on VHF. I kind of didn't mention this. The only thing we can do wideband anymore is GMRS. And something just came down the pike. Radios that were both in Part 90, both wideband and narrowband, have had to come to an end. Can't be imported with that dual capability anymore. So for something, particularly the Wouxun series, which I have fallen in love with, they are awesome Chinese radios. If you've been wanting to get one, and they're still out there with both capabilities, get your radio now, if it's even still available. Like I said earlier, my review is going to be in National Communications. As you wait, you're going to be stuck with narrowband only, and you can't do anything that's still legal to be wideband. But this guy, if you're going to do GMRS, he has everything you can imagine. That's his specialty. That's his niche. And there's our gain antenna. And as I said earlier, if any of you have wideband equipment, you can't use it, want to turn it into a tax receipt, I'll take it. I'll give you a receipt for its full value. Let's go back to the range of quality in the radios. Sometimes radios are upgraded. Agrammatic, I think the term is. They look ridiculous. Check your reviews on the internet. Modified ham radios are illegal to take into these services. You can do it, you can talk, but you got to keep looking over your shoulder. Buy on the basis of intended use. Beware of Chinese radios. Please. If it's too good to be true for price, it probably is. Stick with Wouxun. I have several. They have not let me down. They are outstanding in quality. Frequency allocations in other countries are different. If it says it's pre-programmed, you will almost certainly be stepping on somebody and you're going to get fined. Repeaters in other countries are 10 megahertz split, not 5. Manuals can come in Chinese. Have any of you ever purchased a radio only to discover it was translated by somebody who knew very little English? I hear that laughter, yes. And then all of a sudden along comes somebody that has taken a great deal of work and translated it properly, and you just want to hug and kiss them. Because I have had manuals and I have no clue what the translator meant.
Like launching, right?
Yeah.
Defense cooks meals.
Right. And you know something else you'll discover when you want to return the radio? The postage to do it is cost prohibitive. When you're on eBay, note where the radio is coming from. Take it from somebody that learned that the hard way. There is a couple of pictures of my Wouxuns. Absolutely delighted with them, and the software is downloaded for free. All right, combinations. Be sure if you're going to put MURS in, you got the power reduced. FURS, the same thing. Note that they're all type accepted. Public safety can use them, business, GMRS, amateur, marine, and of course weather. My Wouxun Mobile actually outperforms. What does it outperform?
The FT8800Rs and Romeo.
Yes, it outperforms it.
Sensitivity.
Yeah. And I very rarely will promote a business. I'm not easily impressed. I recommend these guys, Paris, Texas. These guys, it's consumer grade, very good prices. The reason I like them is all they do is MURS, nothing else. And this is another place, they do MURS. These are some accessories. Have you ever purchased a ham radio at a fantastic price and then gone to get the accessories and you go into sticker shock? You will not with Wouxun. It'll be the opposite. It'll be the exact opposite. Do you get an alkaline battery pack? Is there a gain antenna available? Decent mobile antenna? Speaker mic? Something you always want to keep with you. Ziploc bag. Headset or headphone. And what kind of a 12-volt supply do you have with it? And again, noticing which ones are narrowband, which ones are wideband. Now, MURS is strange. The 151s have to be narrowband, the 154s can be wideband. GMRS and family radio are wideband. GMRS, like I said earlier, is still wideband, so grab up that obsolete land mobile equipment. Land mobile equipment is still far superior to the consumer grade equipment. Now some of you may remember these jobbies. They were big at Radio Shack, the little ones, and there's still a few of them out there, these 549 megahertz frequencies. They're also used by baby monitors. And when you put these in your scanner, you'll be awed how many baby monitors are out there. You'll be awed at how much of the rest of the house they pick up. And you'll be amazed at how totally unsuspecting the people are that their family activities are being rebroadcast. Totally unsuspecting. Whoa. All right, then, promise you won't hurt me for this, but there's CB. All but useless for handhelds, way too long of a wavelength. It's AM modulation, which makes poor audio. You can't do any PL or DPL. The antennas are big and bulky, impossible to do a gain. Sporadic E, particularly in the spring and summer, renders it useless. Mostly over-the-road travelers, and at times quite unprofessional communications. Unless, of course, you get your kicks listening to that sort of thing. And compared to we in the ham community, it's kind of like hopping out of your car and driving a tricycle around. Isn't that right, Ken?
Yes, sir.
And there are the frequencies. But then something new has come about that I think is the cat's meow for the on-site business, 900 megahertz spread spectrum. Totally secure, fantastic in buildings, no license.
How much power, Jim?
I honestly, let me think. I'm trying to think what. I didn't really find an actual power rating, but it came out the same as the GMRS radios for range, and everyone that reviewed them gave them 2 thumbs up. There were so many ways you could configure them. ID on the radios, you could group them, and I'd love sometime to get a pair and do a review in National Communications. They're amazing radios. But for me, the security would be the cat's meow. And they claimed because they were digital, you got far longer life on a charge. So what the actual output power was, I don't think it really said any place that I did any reading. But that's the length of the antenna, what you see right there. But nowhere did it show like a base or any way to hook up an outside antenna or anything. It pretty much was just a fixed little handheld. And once you got them programmed, you could have an almost infinite number of groups to just call administrative, call maintenance, etc. So, but by that extremely short wavelength, I doubt they would do well, like say outside in foliage or something, but they would do better in a building. So, we in the scanner business, with the exception of the 900 megahertz spread spectrum, makes good listening. There is me sitting in Gettysburg while the rest of my family went through the museums and stuff, and I just sat listening to the calls in Gettysburg. All those star frequencies and those dot frequencies, State Fair, all the different carnivals and stuff, those come alive. Well, we've come to the end, and there's a little bit about us. We do Downtown Kids Central, the bridge in Mount Morris. The kids see radios in action, they hear the scanner, they get to hear my team talking. We do a roll call from time to time. And in fact, we even got one kid working on his own right now doing the practice test, and I hope that very soon he'll be ready to take his exam. And we have licensed a number of kids over the years, and they get an MT-1000 programmed to 70 centimeters when they pass their test. And there's our websites. If you're ever in Mount Morris on a weekday afternoon, I'd love to have you stop by. And there's our website for the Ham Club, the Fisherman's Net, KC2RHY. And my personal site, n2ops.net, has an exhaustive repeater list and then a very exhaustive scanner frequency list. Every frequency and every PL and DPL. That's my call sign, n2ops.net. And all those services, all the scanners in the world, it still can't beat ham radio. And as we showed tonight, when we couldn't get this array working, can't beat the expertise that comes with it. So, appreciate it, and as I said earlier, I'm going to put in one more plug. Please, if you do give to United Way during their campaign coming up next month, Donor Option 1903 takes it straight to us. And you help us change kids' lives. And now Ken listens and he repeats. You got to see a lot about license-free radio. I had two hands over here.
Just, I looked up, Motorola makes some, the 900 megahertz.
Okay.
1 watt.
Oh, 1 watt. All right, that answers that question. Thank you.
These actually have text messaging capabilities between them too.
Ooh, guys like me would like that.
What kind of price they got?
I don't know, but I'm guessing since it's Motorola, it's pretty expensive.
It's gonna be a little
But,
pricey.
they look pretty cool.
Motorola stands for money.
Yeah. So whenever you see that symbol on it, you better, empty your wallet. But
Already looking up here?
even the speaker grill looks like binary and digital.
Wow, thank you.
A pair of them, the drop-in chargers, is $160, and they also do that with the digital.
By the way, a question just came into my mind that I should have asked earlier. As you know, I write each month in the Rah Rag about scanners. If you have any suggested topics, let me know. All right. By the way, I just noticed a familiar face in the back. I believe I see Lloyd Lane in the back. Lloyd, it's a pleasure to see you. I worked for Lloyd for 8 years at WCJW Radio, and Lloyd knows his radio business quite a bit, an avid scanner listener as well. And maybe someday we'll even get Lloyd onto the ham airwaves, and he certainly has the elevation for it. Okay.
Motorola's are 400.
Hey. Yeah. By the way, anytime any of you ever upgrade computers in your personally or in your business, laptops or towers, we always need computers for our kids. And I'll give you a tax receipt for their full value. Okay, what other questions regarding the radio services that we looked at tonight? Yes, sir.
What is that where the spread spectrum is where it's jumping from frequency?
That is correct. In other words, it's making full maximum use. You can get more into that part of the spectrum than you ever could with set frequencies. And it's an amazing use of the radio spectrum, and it works very well. And as a result, you get not only that efficient use, but you give it the security.
That's similar to the trunking capability?
Well, similar to that, yeah. Like right now, Genesee County and Orleans County just announced within the week that they are going to take their existing trunking system and make them P25 digital. And that will allow more stuff to be squeezed into those frequencies that they are already on. And sadly, though, rendering everybody's scanners useless.
Ontario County's heading that.
Ontario County is setting up and testing the 700 megahertz. N2OPS.net, my website has an in-depth description of the Western New York system. So go there and you'll see a link to it. They took that description off of the internet, but I had it, so now I posted it, and it is on there. Monroe, Ontario, Orleans, and Genesee are going to that system. All the rest of the counties in Western New York opted out.
Not a reliable system.
Yeah. Cattaraugus took their VHF analog and made it P25. But everyone else is staying analog narrowband. So what was supposed to be an interoperable system has actually become a useless patchwork, yes.
Any of the FRS related frequencies, can you do digital modes by any chance? Or is it?
Any of the FRS frequencies, can you, or would you say FRS or MURS?
Any of those things we talked about today?
Any of the MURS or FRS frequencies, can you run a digital mode on them?
I don't know if you can legally, but sometimes people do. Can't imagine why. Have you ever priced digital equipment?
On our handhelds, we can do acoustic coupling, just microphone to speaker.
Yeah,
legally?
You know, I'm honestly not sure. I know we have heard on the 154, 57, and 600, all different crazy modes, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know they do telemetry on those frequencies. Yeah, I mean, they do some really crazy stuff on there. It's pretty much no man's land. I mean, you can,
Don't see why not, there's no license involved for it.
Yeah.
$495,
yeah,
I'll tell you there.
yeah. And I really don't think anybody's going to bother to enforce it.
Can't hear it.
Yeah.
It's a 1-watt radio.
Yeah,
Can't get out of the backyard.
Oh,
yeah.
I do know that Walmart do respond to getting more cashiers up front on their frequencies.
oh.
Yes.
It
Did
works.
that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like one cashier open at like 11 o'clock at night.
How they get through their radio into their feed. Speaker feed.
That I think they do through the phones, actually.
I think it's done through the radio too.
Really?
I've seen them done, I've seen them do it through radio.
Huh, interesting. You ever at Walmart, there's a long line, just any cashier available to the front line or something like that? It works.
Wait, that left end of the field, going. Security guard heading out the other way.
It's like the police, New York City one time reported that the 10th police officer reported that a girl with a bathing suit was skin-colored bathing suit.
Okay, looking for that next question, please. Going once. Going twice. Thoroughly enjoyed the evening. Thank you very, very much.